And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Carrguy and Sixfan show for this special start time of 6:30 Central and 7:30 Eastern time. We're doing a SEMA special for the Carrguy and Sixfan show this week. And my name is Jason. I am Old Car Auto Guy. And with me, my host right next door.
Straight Six fan, Grant, Tommy. So my channel, I like to focus on budget-minded, relatable, creative builds. But yeah, we're happy to have you guys here on board. It is SEMA 2019. Always a fun time every year. So we're excited to talk some SEMA 2019.
Yeah, so before we kind of jump right into things, we are going to just kind of hang out right here and chat for a little bit to make sure that everybody is getting these notifications, that they're kind of jumping in and joining us. And Grant, I'm going to let you kind of keep an eye on the chat for a few minutes while I kind of just roam around here inside my computer to see if we can find where everybody is and make sure that these notifications actually went out.
Absolutely. So at the moment, Kip, welcome to the live stream. So we saw you were waiting around about 10 minutes early. So happy to have you here. And Kip, I don't know. I guess since you're the only one who shows up at the moment, at least as far as a commenter goes in the live stream, do you have a favorite SEMA build at the moment? Is there anything that's piqued your interest? Obviously, it's kind of like asking who is your favorite child. A lot to choose from out there, as there always is every year. But just kind of curious if you had a favorite so far.
Yeah, and I guess we are live. Obviously, Kip's watching us where he knows that we're live. Ron, Master Apprentice, Eric Stenberg has joined us.
There we go.
Yep, so we've got some few people in there, and they're starting to kind of join in here now. And Arch Cricket is, I guess, a coworker of yours, I recall. Yep. Sean is in the house. So, guys, we just wanted to make sure that everybody got these notifications, that they had time to come in and join us for this special 1 hour episode of the Carrguy and Sixfan show. We are talking SEMA. It's going to be a all-out SEMA show. We are deviating from our regularly scheduled program to bring you some of the things that we have found to be quite interesting coming out of SEMA 2019.
Eric, the #1 Fairmont fan in the live stream, usually asking if there, not to my knowledge, do I know, is there a Fairmont at SEMA? But yeah, and just before we get too far down the agenda and start showing some of our favorite builds and some of the best news, Jason, off the top of my head, and I'll let you give it a shot first, but do you know what the acronym SEMA even stands for? I think I can only get 3 out of the 4, but I was curious. Do you know it off the top of your head?
I do. It's Specialty Equipment Marketers Association.
So Marketers was the one I was a little iffy on, but
and that's what it's for. Because people don't understand this sometimes. SEMA is not open to the public per se. You do have to be within the industry of vehicle aftermarket or something along those lines to be able to get in. And of course, there's ways around that with just like everything. So for all intents and purposes, you can't just be a guy walking off the street and want to go in and look at SEMA. You do have to have some accreditation to be in part of that.
Well, with that, since you guys are now well informed on what it takes to make it to SEMA, what SEMA is all about, why don't we just kind of get into the agenda tonight? And Jason, I'll kind of let you take it over, but I did want to lob out there, if you guys have been tuning in the last few weeks, we've been doing kind of a decade by decade kind of, this is where we start off talking about what's your favorite, 1970s car. We were going to try to do that with the 80s with SEMA and try to link that, but we couldn't find a whole lot of 1980s rigs, but we found 1 or 2. But anyway, with that, Jason, where do you want to start there, or do you want to go somewhere else?
Yeah, well, we'll start there. And just because we both know what we think is to be classified as an 80s build coming out of SEMA, I'm going to pop it up on the screen there right now so that everybody can see this. And that way, you and I are probably in agreement that this likely is one of the nicest builds, not just because it's a square body, but because it does come out of the 80s.
Yeah, and this is an account, or these guys, this shop, River City Rods, I think, or River City. So I don't know. It's probably in the comments there at whatever. I've been following them. They actually did another square body camper build last year that became a big hit. So they set out to kind of outdo themselves this year. Last year's was like all blue, but yeah, this one is. They call it brown sugar. I've been following this build for quite some time, and it just turned. And I'm excited for those guys in the fact that they were kind of flying below the radar as far as a hot rod shop goes. And I saw on their Instagram account they got selected for a top 40 build of SEMA award. And so I'm just, huge congrats to those guys.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me when you sent me this, I mean, I knew that we were going to kind of talk about this vehicle anyways, just because you kind of brought me onto it, and the fact that it's a square body, I'm all on top of that for sure. But the fact that it's an '80s classic, and they even chose the '80s color scheme by using brown, which really comes right out of the '80s, and made it work. I've had one of these square bodies. It was an '82, and it was brown. And at the time, people think, well, brown is nothing special. But just like a Fairmont or a Cordoba or a four-door anything, you can make them cool if you put your own touch to it.
Well, and that's we're gonna try to link Neil Fairmont back to this guy. I love the interior, that plaid right there on the seats. I love the and of course it's fall, so you've got your yellows, oranges, and browns all together. It's like it. What I love about it is it's a modern play on a 1980s scheme. Like it could have been definitely more plaid, more era specific, but it does that, but it also looks like 2019. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like when I first saw the interior of this truck, I mean, I don't know about you, but the first thing that came to mind was the TV viewing room in my uncle's basement with the plaid striped couch. And like I said, it takes you right back into that era. But you look at the door handle, you look at the shifter, you look at the steering wheel, and you're driving a modern vehicle. Like it's a very well organized piece, taking old and new and just making it work.
So in the meantime, Low Lid X50 has dropped into the chat. So hello, neighbor to my east over there in Missouri. Eric Stenberg asked if that ride was bagged. I assume so, but to be honest, I don't know that off the top of my head. Do you know, Jason?
What was the question? Sorry.
If brown sugar is airbagged.
That I don't know because I've only been following for the last couple of weeks, and I could not say for sure. Judging by the stance. Let me get back to it here. Judging by the stance of that truck, the way it sits, my guess is yes, because otherwise, I don't think you'd be able to turn those front wheels otherwise.
Yeah. That's pretty low if that's a static drop. And then Antonio Claudio Michaels come into the chat as well. So hello to you.
Hey, ACM, welcome to the Carrguy and Sixfan show. So while we're on this page, I really I don't follow these guys. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. This Fuelish page on Instagram is a great peek into the SEMA show for this year because they've got all kinds of different products where like this vehicle up here in the top left-hand corner is basically a modern day Chevy Tahoe made to look like a 70 awesome Chevrolet. Like this is classic. I really enjoy this build. It's got the classic Chevy rallies, likely made by an aftermarket company. The side panels have got the divots and everything the way it should be. It's not old, but you also know it's not an original truck. It's just, I mean, in the original sense, even the tailgate with the big Chevrolet across the back and the original taillights, like that is just classic.
Yeah, I had actually not seen this one. That's really cool. Like that is extremely well done. retro style. I mean, I don't even know how to properly describe that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to go through every single vehicle here, but there's a lot of classics. You got your 69, 70 Chevy trucks, and then you've got this one here. This is one we're going to be talking about a little bit later. That we'll kind of jump into now. I don't know if is my sound coming through when you guys when I play that.
It's not on my end.
Did the sound come through for you guys? Anyways, I guess we'll just keep on going.
Sean says no, but
okay. Well, I guess that's good because it was really loud in my headset.
Could you? Well, thanks for taking one for the team. Could you scroll just back up for a second, Jason, and where you capture that Dodge at the bottom of the screen, and then if you go 2 up, right there where you got, and then two up. That's a Ford kind of similar year, like a 66-ish. But the funny thing is before I saw both of those two trucks yesterday, is I had just out of the blue come up with the idea. So it's got the Cummins 2.8 liter in this Ford truck, but I had just come up with the idea of how cool it would be to have a Cummins 2.8, that same crate motor, but in that Dodge style, that flat panel. Like, it was just ironic to have come up with this idea out of the blue. Like, oh, that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be a sweet shop truck. And then kind of I got the two parts together here between those two builds.
Yeah, and it's just sitting here watching this video. This for me for the first time. It's like, I do realize that we have a show to do here, but I just want to watch every single one of these videos. Anyways, we'll kind of move on a little bit. I can't see the chat, Grant, so you're going to have to kind of keep an eye on that for me.
Sure thing.
If there's any questions that pop up there. But I'm just going to kind of scroll down through here.
Clarify for in the chat, they were talking about how they can hear us just fine, but what Jason was asking was if you could hear the sound from the video clips he was playing from Instagram. That's the question we were asking. So just wanted to clarify that for the viewers.
Yeah, and so here's a better look, I think, at that same Dodge truck. Look at that interior.
Oh yeah, I just love that sort of Western saddle leather in a truck with that kind of patina. But yeah, take that truck and throw that 2.8 liter Cummins in that, and that would be such a BA shop truck. Just something I can go out and get 30 miles to the gallon while I go pick up some used parts in Iowa with, So
yeah, I mean, all the while towing a 10,000-pound trailer.
Yeah.
All right, so that was one of the ones that we had talked about wanting to go in there. Ooh, cannonball, nice. Sorry, deviating. We did say that before the show went live. Yeah, we did say before the show went live we were going to kind of wing it if something good came up. And I'm sorry, guys, but I'm a sucker for square bodies, and this is the first time I'm seeing this one. Thankfully, I'm following these guys now. I can go back later and take a closer look. So I won't bore you anymore with that. Let's jump on to the next topic. And the big one, I think, maybe in my opinion, probably one of the biggest things to come out of SEMA this year is the lithium. Grant and I were talking a little bit about electric vehicles and how we both thought, maybe I'm speaking for him, I shouldn't say this, I guess I said that I thought that Mustang did it right when they made this vehicle electric, in the fact that they kept with the classic stylings of a Mustang and didn't deviate into something that looked ridiculously electric, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so Jason's talking about Ford, and I forget who the conglomeration or the partnership was with. Probably some electric motor company or something. Started with a W, I think. Of course, there's an all-electric Ford Mustang, that S550, the most recent generation. And I thought it turned out pretty awesome as well. And I think they're claiming something like 900 horsepower and 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. Jason, I think it's 888. Link handy to flash up on the screen by chance, in case any of those viewers haven't seen it. But also, Will R has joined in the chat, so welcome to the live stream.
Yeah, sorry. I switched over to it and I'm scrolling through it, and so I apologize for not realizing that I did not actually switch screens. Let me do that one more time. So
Yeah, no,
share screen,
no big deal. In the
Chrome.
meantime, did just want to remind everybody, we are trying to always outdo ourselves, and for most people in the chat. So if you don't mind taking a moment, since we are going an hour tonight, do the old right click and share the link, and let's get some more people in this live stream. And if you're getting some value or entertainment or fun out of it, think about giving us the thumbs up as well. But Jason, I see you've got it up. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is the Ford Lithium Mustang, and this is a 888 horsepower and 1,000 uh, pound-feet of torque. So that is going to be a monster. And if there ever was an electric vehicle outside of the Tesla that anybody wanted to go up against, this I think is probably going to be it.
And we did have some new people join the live stream. So Tim Hatt, I think you might be new for this. Might be a first time, and if not, I apologize. But then also Scott Speed Shop has joined in. And Scott, yes, we did start early this week since it is a special SEMA edition of the Carrguy and Sixfan show. But Jason, you looked like you were about ready to say something, and I kept blabbing on. So
No, I was, yeah. Tim Hatt is a local fella here in my neck of the woods, and Tim, I appreciate you jumping in there, as well as Scott Speed Shop, and Will R. I think I heard you say his name in there earlier. So yeah, this Ford Mustang really, like I said, they don't deviate from the styling very much. Of course, this one has a little bit of a paint scheme on it, and if you look on the interior, it basically still is a Ford Mustang. Now, in this one here, by the looks of that shifter, I'm not sure what to think of that. It looks like they've incorporated a manual transmission as part of this, because I can almost see the shift pattern on the top of the knob. What do you make of that, Grant?
it kind of does. I'm looking for the clutch pedal, but it would be right behind the steering wheel. Looks like you see the brake pedal there, but. Well, I'm curious to hear from the viewers, those in the chat, what your thoughts are on, because like I think I speak for all of us. Like nobody's going to complain about 888 horsepower, no matter what form it comes in. But owning a car like this, so much of it is just that aggressive sound, and so when you have a dead silent golf cart, how do we feel about an American muscle car that's got checks all the boxes, but it doesn't sound like one. I'm just kind of curious what the chat thinks about that.
Well, and I think in my opinion, when it comes to that, something that I'm thinking that once you get a petrol head or a gas head into one of these vehicles, the performance of that car, I believe, will far outweigh the V8 sound you wish you had while doing it.
I think so too.
So when that thing sits you back in the seat, and yeah, maybe there's just going to be a whoosh, but when that thing sits you back in the seat and you're just flying, yeah, you're not going to be thinking about the V8 sound. I promise you.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Gosh, shoot, there was something that was. Oh, you're kind of seeing that same transformation. If any of you guys follow Joey66 here on YouTube, his wife they're buying a Tesla. His channel is all based around his. I think he has a Scat Pack Challenger, and so I mean it's about as gnarly, high horsepower, loud muscle car, modern day muscle car as you can get. But they're falling in love with that Tesla. So, but another sense, though, we've seen a lot of new faces in the chat here pop up just recently. So, Jason, you want to read those off, or I forget? Can you monitor that on your end, or do you?
Yeah, I can. I'm seeing it now. Yeah, because I don't have the screen share up. So since we've done this, I've seen my son up here. Car Life 101 has joined in, as well as Weird Beard. Thank you, Weird Beard, for jumping in there. Terry Eford, Dustin Sabo. Dustin is my NTD, National Tire Distributors rep. I buy a lot of tires from this guy, and he has jumped into the live stream. Thanks, Dustin, for joining. Greg the Tank Johnson is a new subscriber or new follower of mine. And I guess we kind of scroll down here, and yeah, so I think we've got everybody covered in there. If you are in the chat and we haven't said your name yet, just type in there. You're pissing me off because you're not saying my name. But anyways,
like Greg Tank Johnson would be one of those guys who might do that. I think that's the only one we missed.
So yeah. So anyways, we are going to jump into TGS Monkey has just jumped in there and said, hey. So thank you guys for joining in. We're going to get back to the screen share. We're going to jump into the next vehicle. So I'm going to stop that one here. We're going to go in and add this one. And Grant, you're going to do a little talk on this one because this was your choice.
Oh shoot! Okay, let me go back to my notes. I think is this the it's like 1,000 horsepower all-wheel drive. Oh shoot!
Twin turbo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So this is just. Well, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. How Dodge, like, they're getting a really long run out of their. There we go. Yeah. Anything that's 1,500 horsepower, I think, is worth noting. And to have all-wheel drive to hook up all four wheels potentially, and then it's sort of in that wide body kit that Dodge had unveiled. You know, they're getting a really long run out of this generation of the Dodge Charger. It really, it hasn't stylistically changed for a lot. So to me, it's just that freak show of a horsepower figure of 1,500 plus that it's like, okay, you gotta. You got to talk about 1,500 horsepower.
Yeah, and like I said, we talk about the styling of these cars between the Chargers and the Challengers both. I mean, we're going back to 2008, I believe. So we're on an 11/12 year run of essentially the same body style on these vehicles. And at some point, I mean, to some they would say, don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm kind of inclined to agree, and they've done some subtle changes, but I think that in both cases, the Charger and the Challenger, there's going to be a definite need very, very soon of some sort of an upgrade, and I'd certainly be looking forward to it. But this is a beast. I would say that looks like the bald eagle button right there on the steering wheel, as Cletus McFarlane would call it. Two shifters, and they look like, they look like a pistol grip shifters, and a boost lash. What's that? Lash electronics.
Leash,
yeah.
Boost,
so that's
whatever it is.
So it looks like they're telling
Jason and I won't have probably ever.
Yeah, right. And now there's the pièce de résistance right there. Like, do you suppose that would fit in the old Chrysler Cordoba?
I think it might. You get a bigger hammer.
I bet you Dustin would say it would. Man, that is massive. And again, back to the main picture there.
Yeah, and if you want, you can move on to the next one, Jason. I'll catch up some of the chat a little bit while you take down the screen and go by. Kip was asking if we had seen the Challenger track pack with the Elephant. Short answer, yes. I didn't really dive deep into it that much, but and then you said Car Life 101 is your son, Junior, Jason.
Yes.
He is admitting he would probably get in a lot of trouble if he drove the that Charger, but that just means you're raising him right.
Well, I think that would be an appropriate answer for all of us.
All of us, yes.
in that particular case. So the next one that we wanted to flash up here, and Kip is quite familiar with this build. The group from ProCharger was doing this SEMA build, and long story short, the car was stolen. Later recovered in the current condition that you see it in on the screen there right now. I'm hoping it's on screen anyway.
Yep. You're up there.
Yeah. So in true fashion of SEMA, the show must go on. They decided to display it anyway. So this is a condition that this build came back in, and it basically let's see if I get what kind of pictures we got here. Was rode hard, very hard, before the culprits were apprehended.
Was this Steven Cart who wrecked this one? The evil twin brother of Kevin Hart? Is that how it ended up in that?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know who it was specifically, but that was a pretty bad, too soon joke. No, sorry. Yeah, so
Someone had
let's
to
see.
do it.
Car was stolen. Yeah, car was stolen with the trailer. 14-car police chase. This car T-boned a police car and released from evidence to still make the SEMA show. That's pretty cool. And maybe you can check the chat, see what Kip might be saying in there about it, because he this car comes from his neck of the woods up there in Vermont, I believe.
Yeah, he had mentioned it way earlier in the chat, and then it's the Quentin brothers is who built it. He's saying, and then also he kind of wraps up talking about well, they arrested the guy, and then just how in general like this might be about as good of a marketing ploy for them, and like they're getting a ton of attention out of this. So it's like, yeah, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and I think the Quentin brothers are definitely making some really sweet lemonade out of this situation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of chatter about, was it planned, this and that. I don't think so. I don't think this is one of the things that you really plan to have a SEMA build wrecked. I mean, what really is the point in that? Granted, yes, they are getting their name out there. People who didn't know who these guys were before, they certainly do now.
Well, if somebody really wants to claim that it was planned, I think if you're willing to put people's lives at stake and T-bone a cop car, I'm gonna say that's I don't think so.
Yeah, so the that was probably one of the bigger stories that did not end so well coming out of SEMA. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm really a true believer of seeing the project that goes from start to finish end up, whether they're finishing it right on the floor, which in some cases they do. They're rolling this thing in and they're finishing it right there in front of people while they're driving or while they're walking by. But in this particular case, it was great to see that they were able to have that car released and actually get it into the show still. All that work did not go out in vain.
Well, while Jason is getting set up for the next screen share here, we are really close to the normal time for the Carrguy and Sixfan show. So kind of just wanted to kind of hit the reset button here and welcome anybody who has found their way to the Carrguy and Sixfan show. This is the what we like to call the gold standard of car talk live streams on YouTube. But of course, it's myself, Straight Sixfan Grant Tommy. And to my, I'll say left or I'll say right, doesn't really matter because it's reverse no matter what I do. That guy is, of course, hosting today, and you are?
Yeah, my name is Jason, obviously, and I am the car guy of the Carrguy and Sixfan show, otherwise known as Old Car Auto Guy. And thanks for taking the time out of your Thursday evening to join us and be a part of the show. We are talking SEMA all night long. And we're halfway through the show tonight, and we're getting ready to move on to the next build, which comes to us from some guys who are kind of thinking outside the box. Now, I'm going to pull it up here. Some of you guys may follow B is for Build on YouTube, but Chris and his guys have taken a burnt-out Huracan. They've put an LS in it. They've done a wide body kit on it, and they've twin turboed it. And you could have followed their build right from start to finish on the channel B is for Build, and to see what they started with. And this is the end result. And just like Chip Foose or any of the big guys who do major car shows and car builds, they started with a simple render. And the render even took into account the front air dam, the fins on the side, the scoops on top, the big, gigantic, wide wheels on the car, the diffuser in the back, and those massive Garrett turbos sticking out of the back. Man, those are huge.
I really wanted to say that's what she said, but then I held off, and then I said it anyway.
Then you said it anyway. Somebody had to say it, right?
So yeah, and with the lag in the chat, I just had to do it. So.
So, what are your thoughts on the LS powered twin turbo Huracan?
Well, I'm glad somebody has done that reverse swap. I've seen some resto mod like I think it's like a '69 Mustang that has a Lamborghini motor in it. It's kind of cool to see the American thing end up in the Italian chassis. That's definitely something pretty unique. I've never really gotten too much into the B is for Build channel. I know I've heard of it, but it obviously works. People love watching this, resurrecting supercars like this, and the guy's obviously very talented to put these things back together because they often start as just a kind of crumpled up aluminum pop can of of a shell. So no matter what, no, you gotta respect him for that.
Well, and one point that Junior made today when I was talking about this car was, and it was a very smart thing for him to say, and I never thought of it myself. This is the world's first reliable Lamborghini.
Yes. Well said, Junior.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And yeah, so anyways, that is the LS powered twin turbo Huracan, which is done by the B is for Build team on their YouTube channel. I think that's pretty good. And obviously, our goal in life as YouTube creators is to get into the budget of being able to do a build like that someday. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows?
Well, and Novotaz brings up how I know I've seen him do and it's mostly like those car part buys, I think, or not car
Copart.
Copart. There you go. Thank you. I know I've seen him do like a FJ Cruiser rebuild and things like that. But yeah, talented guy. Justin ATV, welcome to the live stream. You have dropped in the meantime, so welcome to the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, so you guys all, if you've watched the Demise of Bubbles videos, you all know who Justin ATV is. He was my counterpart that helped us with the blowing of bubbles. So he needs a big round of applause for his accurate shot on the tannerite. Thank you, Justin, for
with
helping
a
us
rock,
out that
right?
day.
He threw
with the rock. With the rock, yes.
That's what he did, if I remember right.
Yeah. Justin's about 10 years. No, Justin's about 15 years younger than I am, and his arm was just a little bit more than mine. A little bit of the old injury from
Understood.
back.
Yeah, you wouldn't need, a caliper rifle that shoots a certain foot per second, and you wouldn't need like a 30-06 or anything.
No, you definitely don't need a 7mm Magnum that shoots 2,000 feet per second. No. You don't need one of those.
Nothing like that. No, okay. All right, writing that down.
All right, so we're going to move. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to go on to the next build. This one's coming from Grant, and it is going to be a Detroit steel on this old Buick. I assume that's what it is, like an old Roadmaster of some sort.
Yeah, it's a 56 or 55, somewhere 54 maybe. When we started the whole pick your favorite car out of a decade, of course, mine was a 56 Buick. And so I'm just a sucker for these cars. And it being a wagon, I think, is even cooler. So Detroit Steel Wheel Company is a pretty cool Instagram follow. So I'm always a sucker for a lot of their stuff. But yeah, it's just the simplicity of the thing, too. I mean, they probably maybe tucked the bumper a little bit. But it's just an honest car. It is what it is.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to point out is while I was looking at this, I did flip back, and that's why I kind of wanted to jump back to their actual Instagram page. They are huge for any of you guys who follow specifically, the C10s or square body type trucks, and these guys are huge in the big steel wheel remanufacturing to make them look like the original, but simply be not original. So you look at all these different trucks and cars, and there's a nice example of an old rally wheel on a square body again. So
yeah, I think that's their artillery wheels, what they call that one. They
yep.
And then they always look good with the factory hubcaps. But yeah, they don't make anything smaller than an 18-inch, but they do 18, 20, and 22s of just smoothie steel wheels, and they have a couple spin-offs like the artillery, and there's like 3 or 4 different wheels they make.
Yeah, and not cheap, but definitely well worth the look if that's what you're going with. And to me, the only disadvantage other than the price is the weight. That's a big wheel to be steel.
And yes, Jed Scott from Scott's Speed Shop mentioning how they used to have a TV show. Yeah, and it was actually probably one of my favorite all-time car shows because the cinematography, the way they shot it, was just like so different than what they normally shoot car shows. Adam, the main owner, he just seems like a you and me type of guy, and they did not every build was a super mainstream thing, so I really enjoyed their show. Detroit Steel.
Yeah, and again, as we keep kind of flowing down through here, and we're seeing some more of these, classic style steel wheels in like an 18, 20-inch configuration. I think that's a really cool idea, and maybe someday there might be an opportunity for me to have one of those old style artillery wheels on a square body.
Yeah.
So, how's the chat looking?
They're really enjoying it. Of course, we kind of mentioning like Jed Scott was talking about Detroit Steel, and then Kip talking about he likes K5s, and just kind of. And Kip is asking us to stop showing wagons, so I don't
stop hating Kip.
No, I think he likes them. I think he likes them. I don't know. Maybe you know better than I do. I got the impression he really likes them, and he's.
So I'm just noticing down in the control room that we do have Corey from Craving Cars, who is live at SEMA. We are going to bring him on, ladies and gentlemen. Corey, introduce yourself to the everybody in the chat here.
Oh my God, I'm so excited! Hi, I'm Corey Pratt. I am from Craving Cars. If you haven't been there on Craving Cars, of course, you should probably go check that out. Like, share, and subscribe. These guys' channels too. So,
well, Corey, welcome live from Las Vegas, and the booth behind you might be giving us an indication of maybe who else might be in your vicinity. Maybe
only if I actually was going to have Russ Belt see if he can join, but he's in a completely different part of the convention right now. That's just so you know the size of this. It's not like I can just go hop 2 minutes over to him, but I was here because he was here yesterday actually at the Milwaukee booth, and anybody in the automotive industry, which anybody probably watching this likes cars, so they're something to do with automotive. This is a good brand, but we can kind of walk and talk. But I know they kind of buttoned it up a little bit, which the reason why I waited this long is so we can kind of, it's a little bit quieter in here now, so that way we can kind of not have so much background noise. But now we can kind of go into. I did talk with Russ Belt Mechanic earlier today. We did have a little bit of a one-on-one. He will be in some video from the SEMA show that we put out later on, and so that's very exciting. So, and I got to meet Russ Belt for the first time, so that was exciting. I talked to him many times, and now it was just nice to meet him in person. One of these days, Jason, I'll see you too, in person.
Yes. Absolutely, because I think we're trying to plan a trip to SEMA possibly next year, and we're hoping that we'd be able to get up there and experience the kind of I want to say once in a lifetime, but a great experience for sure, a bucket list thing to check off. So you're there now. I do understand that the gates are getting ready to close here shortly, but out of everything that you've seen, so far today. What was the highlight of your day?
Oh, highlight. Whew. Could you answer? Could you ask like my age or something? That's a much easier question. A highlight of SEMA. I mean, no matter where you go, no matter where you turn, you're seeing something that you're just blowing your mind. Even if you're not in a certain cars, you'll see them and be like, "What the heck did they just do with this car?" What? I mean, I've seen some stuff that's just like didn't know that was possible to be done. I mean, it was even nicer seeing some of the new stuff come out. Obviously, Toyota Supra is a big one. That's probably going to be the biggest sports car that you're going to see around because everybody gets their hands on them. They want to show you what they can do and all their aftermarket stuff. The Jeep Gladiator, that's probably number 2 that you're going to see around here. So seeing so many different variations of it. But at the same time, you're seeing stuff like this. Look at that. Look at that old Bronco.
Wow.
I mean,
Awesome.
I've seen a good half a dozen, at least just in the last few hours, of some really nice stuff like that. So, highlight of SEMA.
Well, Corey, if you
I
can't
don't have one. There's too much stuff. I can't. We're not going to be here long enough in the live stream to list it all. So,
since it's too hard to settle on one highlight, then how would you just encapsulate, or how would you describe what's a typical day like when you show up to SEMA? What's it? I mean, we talk about this exhibit hall that I'm guessing it's like the Smithsonian. You could block out like 5 days of a week and still not see everything. What is a typical day like when you show up to SEMA and then you're just trying to take it all in?
Okay. If you've never been to SEMA before, this is my first year, so think of like the biggest car show you've ever been to, and you're thinking, oh, these conventions, or maybe someplace you might have been to, there's big convention centers that are full, and think of something huge, and then go bigger. Because I went into, okay, I'm at just the Las Vegas Convention Center. There's also the Sands Expo building, which is a separate building a few blocks away. That's holding also part of SEMA. But the convention center itself, I walked into one thinking there's a north, a central, and 2 south buildings or sections. And I went through one thinking I went through a doorway that I was at a south, and then I went to the north thinking, oh, cool, we can knock this out in a few days, and realized I hadn't moved from one hall. And it was by far and you guys from Kansas City, you've been to Bartle Hall. That's the only thing I can compare it to right now. It dwarfs Bartle Hall. One section of the 4 sections they have are bigger than Bartle Hall in Kansas City. And that's not big enough. SEMA has more to offer than just that. So they're building a whole new section onto the convention center. I don't know if you'll be ready by next year or not, but that's almost doubling the size of the convention center. And the crazy part about it, Las Vegas will use it. It's that crazy. But to walk in and think you're going to see a couple really cool displays is an understatement. You're going to see God's amounts of stuff that you're going to be so overwhelmed. You have to just make peace to know that you're not going to see it all. And you're going to miss it, and you might want to stop and see every little thing. You might just have to keep walking. If that's not like 90% or better of your list, just keep going because you'll fill the rest of your day.
Well, we really appreciate you coming
Corey,
on.
I think it's absolutely great that you're
sharing this experience with us. I think we were going to say
join us here.
I think I'm kind of sorry if I'm talking too much on this, but it is now day 3. We got one more day left, and I've got a lot of stuff I still haven't seen. There you go. There's another one of the mini gladiators that they have here in one form or another.
Nice.
I was looking for 80s cars, and the funny thing is on a lot of the custom built stuff, it's like 60s, early 70s, or new stuff. They don't have a lot of in between. It's like there's a, obviously there's a thing, there's a niche for the classic stuff, and then everything else is all about people want old stuff or they want new. I guess there's not a bigger market for the middle line right now. I'm not really sure, but the only 80s stuff I saw a couple Fox body Mustangs. I saw an 80s Camaro. And they were outside. I was hoping to maybe find some stuff inside because I know that's the theme for you guys. to see some sick builds from some 80 cars. But to be honest, there really wasn't any here that I saw. But I saw Gladiators. See that one?
I'm starting to pick up a trend here.
Yeah. So I wasn't kidding. Here you go. You want a Gladiator?
Yeah. So I'm just noticing in the chat that I was just noticing in the chat, Corey, that Terry Eford says SEMA is where you get your cardio and cars. And when I think cardio, it's cardio in two meanings. One, because you're doing a lot of walking, but two, because you're seeing a lot of great things. It kind of gets your heart pumping.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Here you go. Here's one next to, let me flip the camera around.
Oh,
I don't know what that is, but
wow.
Does it not look sick?
That is awesome. That is so sick.
That's like a pre-runner. It's like a 50-something Chevy pre-runner. That's pretty cool.
It looks like 50-something badass is what that looks like.
So Corey, we started.
Look, a Gladiator.
We started the live stream talking about the 80s Chevy square body brown sugar camper build, and I know you got a chance to get up close and personal with that.
Yes.
Let me get the name right. Dustin Sabo from the live chat was asking about this. Tell us a little bit about experiencing that in person.
It's crazy, people build like custom camper stuff, but the fact that they built a custom camper on a custom truck is just icing on the cake. It was bagged for certain trucks and stuff like that. I think that's kind of a cool thing to do on sports cars. I don't like it just because, I think a sports car should be the best of its ability. But I mean, the interior was done so well. It was very simple inside the cab, but yet so like precise. The engine bay was like the cleanest I've seen on a truck. I see you put some pictures up now. I mean, and the covers and stuff they had in there, but inside, that just looked like a place I wanted to stay. I'm like, screw the hotel I'm at. Can I stay in the back of this thing? Because it was so clean, and not to mention they had kegs in there. So why would you not want to stay in back? I mean, you get the beer, nice relaxation, you cook back there. It was just the craftsmanship was just, well, it was top notch, but that's what you expect from SEMA.
I know your partner in crime, Stephen Miller, had some pictures from there. So you guys actually got to walk in the camper part. Is that right?
Gladiator. They had it opened up, and I basically reached way in there, and I was like, let's get. So I've got some video of the inside of the place, but they weren't letting people actually walk through it, which I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Because they'd get so much traffic going through their ridiculously awesome builds. So.
Right. Yeah, you would just weather and tear things up. It's like I literally just invested $80,000 or whatever into this thing, and now I've got to replace the floor or something.
Yeah, that would really that pissed me off. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm like, dang it. Just something you probably haven't seen yet.
Yeah. So
Gladiator.
I was gonna say.
Jason and I started a SEMA bingo, in one of the lists. Finally, we can check Gladiator off of that list. So
that's almost like the free space at this point.
if we were playing a drinking game, then I wouldn't be walking right now. And like I said, in the other areas, I would see nothing but Supras and Toyota Supras, and hey, look, another Supra. And I went to the Toyota booth, and they had probably 20 Supras at the Toyota booth, which is probably the reason why the dealerships don't have their ordered Supras yet, because they're here at SEMA.
SEMA.
Here you go. This is up your guys' alley. You ready for this one? At least on the truck side of things.
Gladiator.
Oh, nice.
I almost made that joke.
Oh, wow.
I almost did, but I was like, let's show something that's kind of.
Hey, Client Graphics, welcome. I believe you're also out at SEMA. If so, say yes or hey in the chat. But
he definitely is. I've seen some pictures on Instagram. He's been posting with all kinds of celebs.
I got to see Jay Leno the first day I was here. So I don't know if you know who Jay Leno is. He's a small little guy, has a small car collection. He was a comedian at some point.
He's got a few of those. The question in from the chat came, wanted to know if there are any stories you can share what happened in Vegas. Since you're still in Vegas, you can still talk about what happened in Vegas.
But if I tell you, is it no longer in Vegas?
Yeah, well, so that gets a little fuzzy then.
Because it kind of
so
has to stay in Vegas, doesn't it? I
Well,
don't know. I'm not sure
I'll
how
tell you
clean
what,
I can
Corey.
be or dirty, or we'll just keep it like there's stories. It's Vegas. But to be honest with Sema, my mind is on cars. 100%. I haven't dropped a single nickel in a game in a slot machine. I don't really care about what the rest of Vegas is. Sema's here. That's what I'm here for.
Well, we appreciate you sharing in the experience for sure. I can't wait to be there, and I think it was an absolute treat just to have you be a part of our live stream and be able to walk through and show us that one Gladiator that made the show.
Well, there was one. There might have been a second one somewhere. Trying to think where that was at. I don't know. Some of the hall.
I couldn't quite tell if that was a Jeep bed I was seeing with all the doors off of it or not. But yeah, there was at least one Gladiator in there.
Yeah, just one. It depends on what hall you would have saw me at. It was they were everywhere. But you know, you gotta think that's the newest thing on the block right now. I mean, that's the biggest thing that wow, you know, the Wrangler truck kind of thing. That's something that someone's been wanting for, you know, the last 15 years, and they just finally made one. So obviously that's going to be the biggest thing on, you know, Sema's mind as well, is stuff like that. Same with the Supra, even though people think it's a glorified BMW, which technically it is, but it is the biggest thing on people's mind because it's the hottest commodity, you know, sports car out there.
Yeah. Oh, look, a Gladiator.
There's two.
Now here's kind of an example, and it's a clean example of what Sema does. And this isn't a wrap, by the way. I want to show you this real quick. This is a Lamborghini. This is an Aventador, which is obviously a nice car, super sports car kind of thing. I hope you can see it through this. If you can tell, you see that? That's not a carbon fiber wrap. The entire car has been replaced with carbon fiber panels that didn't already have them. That's the kind of wild stuff you typically tend to see here. That and Jeep Gladiators.
That was pretty amazing.
So, and that's actually just sitting in a lobby. That's not even at a booth. And they have stuff like that sitting around everywhere.
So, Corey, let's play the hypothetical that you're going to SEMA 2020. What is your biggest takeaway or lesson learned from 2019 that you would do differently going next year?
I can plan. I can plan much better. Without going in here kind of blind, not knowing what's going on. They did a great job on an app, you know, SEMA app for 2019, where it has the maps. You can find out where you want to go. You can see, you know, where, you know, celebrities might be and things of that sort. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's plan ahead. So, you know, I would spend a little more time before coming to know where I was going each day and set it just to work out better. Plane route, because I already know the Sands Expo building, I won't make it. It's a separate building with a couple floors and more SEMA. I still have way more stuff to do here at the convention center, the main convention center, that I won't make it there just because, I don't know, you're going all over the place. And I went here, and I'll be honest, okay, between you guys and everybody else that's listening and the whole world that's going to watch this afterwards, I participated in some free beer. So I kind of went out of my way to get free beer. It's Vegas. If you gamble in Vegas, anybody ever been into Vegas and gambles, they know that drinks are free. And if you play your cards right, at SEMA they are too.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so you know what? If somebody lined up free beers in front of my face, I might be over as well.
It was kind of nice. A couple people that, you know, befriended, kind of warmed up with and stuff. They invited me over to kind of like a happy hour thing they were doing today, and got to participate, hang out a little bit. I mean, it takes a little bit of your time of viewing through the halls, but hey, you got to kind of calm down once in a while because your feet can only take so much. So, and beer is a really good recovery thing. I don't know, for me. So.
Well, Corey, we are getting ready to wrap up this special SEMA edition of the Carrguy and Sixfan show. Once again, thank you so much for taking some time out and joining with us. And we are just going to have a few closing thoughts for the show, and we will be here again next week. Only it will be on Grant's channel, and
Hey,
it
go
will be our
Grant.
final episode of the Carrguy and Sixfan show. So, Grant, why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and we'll get to closing up this episode.
Well, when Jason says a final episode, we mean final episode for season 2. So don't get too upset, because we'll be back after the new year for season 3. Bigger, badder, stronger, and better than ever. The thing I'll say is, just to kind of give you a little sneak peek under the covers for what next week's going to be about, it's just kind of wrapping up Jason and I's year. I mean, the successes, the failures, the highs, the lows of what 2019 was like, kind of setting off our goals. So we kind of just want to, you guys have been so much part of our journey, and we kind of just want to bring you guys along for that, and kind of just kind of recap the year. And so honestly, as we try to close out, we've got maybe 4 minutes left, as we, typically try to close out most episodes. We do always open it up for the chat. If you guys have any questions, and if you only wanted to lob one Corey's way or something, feel free to do that. But Jason, is there anything you would add to that about the final episode of season 2 next week?
I guess the only thing that I want to throw out here tonight is I did want to make mention that because I usually have a couple of videos ready to roll in advance for upcoming scheduled videos, we have determined a name for the VW project. Some of the guys were asking about that, and we put that poll up on Instagram, and the winner of that name contest was the Grey Goose. So from here on out, the old Volkswagen Passat will be dubbed the Grey Goose, and I hope that you guys are okay with that, because that's what you guys chose over Sergeant Schultz and President 43. So you'll be start seeing that more incorporated into that side of my show. Having said that, guys, we are getting ready to wrap this up. The next week's episode, like Grant said, is just going to kind of be a wrap up, even though it's kind of the final farewell of season 2.1. Somebody in the chat mentioned maybe have a Christmas special. Well, you never know what just might come out of the Carrguy and Sixfan show between then and when season 3 starts up. So having said all that, once again, I'm going to thank Corey for being a part of the show this evening. It was great to have you. Great to bring a little bit of Las Vegas back to us. And I'm going to be giving you
being on here.
A big solid salute for being a part of the show tonight.
Yeah, and Sean mentioning in the chat, don't forget, he has a live stream Sunday nights. I believe that is like 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central, I think. He can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But that's going to do it for the second to last episode, season 2. So until next time, peace out.